Welcome back to Fireside Yankees with Alex and Ryan. If you're just tuning into the channel today, this is our second episode because, well, things keep happening, and Ryan and I want to get on the podcast to make sure you guys are well informed on the trade deadline coming up in about 10 days and all the players the Yankees have been linked to. And the recent report coming from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, I believe, is that the Yankees are in the driver's seat, or at least close to it, according to one reporter, for Mitch Keller, and could be packaged with another name, potentially like Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. So we're going to talk about Mitch Keller, talk about IKF. You know, this kind of feels like a backup plan to me for a Suarez and Merrill Kelly swap. If they don't end up with those two guys, they might pivot to something like this. So we'll break down the players, break down the fits, and what they would bring to the team if that's the direction the Yankees go in, and they don't necessarily want to spend big prospects on Kelly and Suarez, which they will certainly have to do. But Ryan, before we dive into it, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great, and in regards to Mitch Keller, as it was reported that there is some steam being gained from the Yankees side on acquiring Keller, look, Heil stopped short of saying that the Yankees were frontrunners. He said he wouldn't know if he'd call them that, but that there is steam being gained there. He also mentioned that one of the other teams interested, the Chicago Cubs, don't view Keller as their number one option. The Mets are interested, and then he said another American League team is interested, but he said he wasn't sure which one it was, and he couldn't name it. He wasn't confident enough in naming it based on that report that he got, or the intel he got on that. So there are, in theory, four suitors here. The Yankees seem to be the most aggressive in that regard, or at least one of the most aggressive in that regard. So things change quickly, but in the sense of Mitch Keller here, look, he has struggled to miss bats this year. While the ERA, FIP, and expected ERA are good, they're above average. They're about where you would expect a number 3 starter to rank in those regards. I think where Alex is going to have some stipulations here, and where anyone listening to this who isn't very pro Keller is going to have stipulations, are with that strikeout rate. The strikeout rate's a big problem against lefties, not necessarily against righties. It's a 21.2% strikeout rate against righties, but he's only walking 3.7% of righties, and he has a 48% ground ball rate. So it's a 2.65 FIP. The numbers are actually really good against righties. 17.4% strikeout to walk rate. That's a really, really good mark. He's doing well in that regard. Where I think his value has been overlooked, and where I think the Yankees believe there's something to fix here, is against lefties. He actually struck out a good amount of lefties in the previous years, but this year, that number has dropped to 16.7%. He is walking 7.1% of them face. So that's a 9.1% strikeout to walk rate and a 4.06 FIP. That's where you start seeing Mitch Keller and go, ooh, there are kind of two sides here. There is, hey, this is a number 2 starter even. And then against lefties, it's this guy's number 4, a number 5 starter. Kind of a Marcus Stroman kind of pitcher where it's pitch to contact in that regard, and there's not as many ground balls. The way I think the Yankees can fix this is, number 1, by figuring out what that secondary pitch against lefties is going to be. He is 40.5% four-seam usage, and at four-seamer only gets a 15.3% whiff rate against lefties. He has a changeup that I think has really good shape. It gets a lot of separation off the fastball. I think this is a pitch the Yankees can identify and make better. The curveball has been very effective against left-handed batters. He's good at painting his backdoor two-seamer to them as well. I think that the mix he currently has against lefties, it's a lot of sweepers, it's a lot of gyro sliders. They're not getting whiffs. They're not limiting damage contact. They're allowing a lot of contact. I think the Yankees can tinker with the secondaries here, maybe have him use his cutter a little more or introduce a better cutter for him. I think there are some low-hanging fruit in just pitch usage and really location that can help Keller be a better swing and miss guy. He is not traditionally someone who doesn't miss bats. In his career, he has been able to strike people out before. Last year, 21.5%. The year before that, 25.5%. And even if you look at just the last 4 years, a 94 ERA minus, I know that's a 4.01 ERA. That's a 6% better ERA than the league average, and you're getting this at under $18 million a year when you readjust for the luxury tax. That's a win on the market. These guys go for much more, and anytime the Yankees are connected to a pitcher, Alex, and I'll pass it off to you like this, I am intrigued by anyone the Yankees are into because Sam Breen and Matt Blake are very good at their jobs. And if the Yankees believe there is something to improve here, and I think there is, I've been a Keller guy for a while now, I think that I will buy that the Yankees can improve the stuff he needs to work on.
I feel like I should have started this podcast so that I could have been like, I don't like the strikeout stuff. I don't like this because what am I supposed to say now? There's no argument to rebuttal.
I think there is a strong argument, though. I think there's a very strong argument against this, and I know you're going to get into it.
So what I'll say about Mitch Keller, and I'll dump some positive onto your positive fire right now, is that he's actually a lot better on playing away from Pittsburgh than he is at home. This year, 3.89 ERA at home in Pittsburgh. Away, he's a 2.9 ERA. So kind of an interesting thing there. It seems to just play better on the road. So I don't know how that would play if your new home is Yankee Stadium or whatnot. But he doesn't miss a lot of bats, right? He's a 10th percentile whiff rate at 19%. You mentioned the strikeouts. He doesn't get a lot of chases. He gives up a lot of hard contact. The fastball velo's below 94. It only comes in at 93.6. So, it kind of gives me similar vibes. So, like, if, you remember, like, when Rodon, his fastball was really struggling, when Rodon's fastball was off, he was not effective. So, like, Mitch Keller, if his fastball is off or something happens to it or he gets into a rut with it, he's going to suck. Like, that's kind of the problem with Mitch Keller. The fastball falters. His secondary pitches are not necessarily good enough to prop him up and compensate all the time. So that's kind of, although the sweeper is excellent this season with 181 batting average. So, he does have the sweeper, but the rest of it is a bit, skeptical. At least I am skeptical with the slider. The sinker obviously has not been utilized as much as the four-seam fastball, less than half of what he uses for the four-seamer. So, he has a big pitch mix. Some pitches are better than others. Like you said, I wonder what the Yankees would do to tweak this pitch mix. I don't necessarily think they want to get more involved with the sinker. I think they probably would like his four-seam fastball, like his sweeper. Maybe they want to do a little bit more with the changeup against lefties, like you mentioned. You mentioned the gyro slider that they have. So there's different ways, different implementations that they can kind of utilize for Keller. Another interesting thing is he does have a couple years left of control until 2029. So I think the best way to say this, and really something I didn't think about before, we started recording, is that for $15 million on average, for him, let's say he's a 3.6 ERA guy, 3.7 ERA guy, that's extremely valuable. Teams are pushing out $20+ million for guys that are in the 4 ERA range these days. You know what I mean? Like a lot more than 15 mil per. So, at face value, the Yankees are getting pretty decent value there. The Pirates don't like to spend money. So, they'd probably trade him. I wonder what kind of deal they'd require. I guess that's the next step in this kind of discussion, Ryan. Who do you think they're going to demand for a Mitch Keller? Is it going to be less or is it going to be more than what you'd have to give for Merrill Kelly, who's on an expiring deal?
Yeah, it's a great point. I think that Keller, in theory, would cost more because the contract is good for a starting pitcher. And, I know people are going to get into the money conversation, and I actually think for the Pirates, yes, they're probably going to try and move him because they're cheap, but I also think they aren't going to use the contract as a hindrance. They're going to use it as more of this is a way to get more at the deadline. Although I don't think they're going to get, George Lombard Jr. from the Yankees or Cam Schlittler. But kind of giving you a little bit of some of the players who are making more money or making over $20 million. Eduardo Rodriguez of the Arizona Diamondbacks. You don't want to look at his numbers. Walker Buehler got $21 million this year in a one-year deal. Luis Severino got $22 million a year for 3 years. Lucas Giolito, who, Lucas Giolito's pitched well this year for the most part, but, has missed a whole year of his contract, has a 5.07 expected ERA. It's kind of pitched the same way that Mitch Keller has in terms of not having strikeouts, except he doesn't keep the ball on the ground. He gives up a lot of home runs. He's making, I believe it's, $19.2 million a year. And you look at Jose Barrios, $18 million a year. He's worse than Mitch Keller has been over the last few years. Jordan Montgomery got a $25 million deal, $25 million a year deal. Nathan Eovaldi, better, but $25 million a year still. Frankie Montas is kind of the comp I throw out here, not in terms of how good he is, but to give you an example, the New York Mets gave him $17 million a year for 2 years, and that second year is a player option. And it's very likely that he's going to pick up that player option because he hasn't pitched well enough to decline it. So, Mitch Keller's making... Dude, Alex Cobb got $15 million for 1 year. Mitch Keller's making 15.4. You know what I mean? The money is not that bad. The money is actually really good. It's a positive here. So for the Yankees, I think they should use that to their benefit. And then also, as you mentioned, with some of the low-hanging fruit here in terms of things they can fix, I think they might be able to tell him, hey, you don't have to throw as many strikes. Maybe you don't have to attack the zone as aggressively. Maybe you can try and get swings and misses out of zone. Be selective. Be smart with when you go after guys and challenge guys. Try and induce more swing and miss. I don't think it's a coincidence that every pitcher on the Pirates, including Paul Skeens, over the last year has lost some strikeout numbers. Paul Skeens' strikeout rate is down from last year. Bailey Falter, Andrew Heaney, like they have a bunch of guys who just don't strike people out. I think that is a coordinated effort by the pitching staff. Everyone in that rotation has seen their strikeout rate go down. And if you look at the Pirates as a pitching staff, you look at their team stats, like how often they throw pitches in the zone, they're very high in that regard. At least their starters are. Now, is that because these guys aren't good and they're trying to mask something? Maybe. Maybe that's it. But the Pirates pitching staff is the third highest in terms of zone percentage. No one outside of the Rays throws more strikes than them as a pitching staff, and as a rotation, only the Rays have a higher zone rate. It's the Rays and Royals for overall staff. It's only the Rays for starting rotation. That means something. I think it's very notable that they're one of the staffs that go after people the most, and they're the staff that generates the least amount of swings and misses, or relative to the league, some of the lowest swinging strike rates. And the final thing I'd like to point out in terms of usage, fastball usage. The Pirates are fourth in fastball usage as a team, and they don't have dominant fastballs. Their fastballs, outside of Paul Skeens, again, Paul Skeens, very hard thrower, not ranking high in that regard. They're sitting with the Yankees in fastball velocity, and this rotation doesn't throw hard. So, Alex, I say all of this is a bunch of jargon to basically say Mitch Keller's probably throwing so many pitches in zone. Like, he's throwing so many pitches in the strike zone. I don't think that's how you pitch in the modern game. I don't think you just attack when everyone can hit the ball 110 miles per hour. I mean, you see Anthony Volpe hitting a ball 400 plus feet. Anthony Volpe is known for not having a lot of power. Anthony Volpe has 12 home runs this year, I believe, right? He has as many as like Vlad. Like, guys, everyone can hit home runs. Everyone in the sport can hit home runs. So you have to be able to go out of zone. Alex, you mentioned Rodon. I thought that was such a beautiful comparison because this is where I'm going to tie it in and pass it off to you. Carlos Rodon would throw those challenge fastballs last year down the plate and be like, why are you doing this? Go get the strikeout. Throw a changeup down. Throw a slider off the plate. Why are we throwing 95 down the middle to like George Springer? What's wrong with you? What are we doing? I think the Yankees can address that same issue with Mitch Keller. So that's my pitch. That's my pitch right there.
Listen, if they feel that there's something left there, and we know that the Pirates sometimes do wild things with players. We know that sometimes they misuse, pieces, and the Yankees are basically their whole strategy is fixing players that they feel are being misused and maximizing value. And Mitch Keller could fit that bill. So, let's talk about the addition to this package here. So, like I said earlier, maybe the backup plan to Suarez and Merrill Kelly could be Mitch Keller and a player like IKF. Let's be honest, and we talked about this yesterday, Ryan, so I don't think we have to spend a ton of time on it because it's pretty obvious. IKF, yeah, he's not a great ball player, but he is so much better than Yorba Vivas and so much better than Oswald Peraza that it makes a substantial difference. The Yankees are one of the best offensive baseball with basically not having a third baseman. Like, that's where we're at right now. IKF this season's hitting 276 with a 318 OBP, 344 slugging, and a 661 OPS. The batting average is nice. We love that. His OBP is okay. Yeah, he obviously does not slug at all, and he can run the bases, fine enough. And his OPS is, average, let's say. The discipline is good. 92nd percentile whiff rate. Doesn't strike out too much. He squares up the ball a lot. I'm not even going to list the slugging metrics because I feel like it's redundant. But, Ryan, this is a significant upgrade. Like, we want Suarez. Yeah, he's amazing. Yeah, he belts home runs. Yeah, he's a freaking tank. But if we walked away from the deadline with IKF or nothing, you know what I mean? Like, and I'll ask you this. How about this? For those that want to drop comments down below, I think this is a good question to ask. Would you rather trade a mid-level prospect you've never heard of for IKF, or would you rather trade Spencer Jones for Eugenio Suarez, but one of those pieces is Suarez, who's going to hit probably 20 home runs or maybe another 15 home runs the rest of the season. I mean, he's absolutely mashing right now and is going to add an elite element to your offense. And in October, it can make a difference. Or do you just want a guy who can start at third base? He's not a complete pushover in IKF, and you don't have to give up. Let's say not even a Spencer Jones. Maybe you talk about giving up like a Schlittler or like something like that in a bigger package. Like, I think they probably opt for less for an IKF over Suarez if the deal is going to force them to give up one of their top prospects.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Yankees' issue is, again, run prevention. Alex, you and I have talked about IKF not because we are IKF guys. Like, oh man, IKF is awesome. And I've said this before. We are interested in acquiring Isaiah Kiner-Falefa because the Yankees need to be good at preventing runs. This is one of the best Yankee offenses, statistically speaking, we have ever seen. In fact, so far, and this could change in the second half, this could change in August, this could change in September, this Yankee offense has a chance to have the highest OPS plus of any Yankee offense since the sport integrated, since we allowed non-white players to play alongside white players at the major league level. Think about that. We were talking about Murderers Row Yankees, the Garrick and Ruth Yankees. Those are the teams who outclass this team in terms of OPS plus and weighted runs created plus. Not the 2009 Yankees, not the 1998 Yankees, not any of those mid-2000s teams that would absolutely mash but couldn't pitch. This team is not last year's team with Judge and Soto, this year's team. This year's team is their best post-integration offense ever. And I'd also like to say the pitching staff's the problem. Like, that's where you have your holes. That's where you have your most injuries. Who's the most significant player on the shelf for the Yankees, even on the position player side? Is there anyone that you can think of that is important to this team who is hurt and is like, oh man, Oswaldo Cabrera. It's Oswaldo Cabrera. He's the best position player to sustain a major injury right now. I'm not saying you can't get hurt and no one else is going to get hurt, but it's to say that when you look at the pitching side of it, Garrett Cole out for the year, Clark Schmidt out for the year, Jake Cousins out for the year, Fernando Cruz not going to come back till August, Luis Seal not going to come back till probably early August, late July. Max Fried dealing with a blister. He's going to pitch in this series. Same with Schlittler with his bicep thing. But do you know what they're going to... Do you know how healthy these guys are going to be? Do you know if Will Warren's going to just be fine blowing by his career high in innings pitched? And yeah, his velocity's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. You don't know that. The Yankees are 15th in ERA as a team. 15th. That's not bad, but it's not good. You want to be better. You can be better than that. You need to prioritize pitching. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa makes your defense better. He's a fine 9-hitter. He makes contact. He can get a bunt down. He can move guys over. He can run the base. He plays really good defense. I can live with that. You need pitching. You need as much as possible. If I'm trading, let's say, Spencer Jones, am I going to do it to get a bat or am I going to do it to get an arm? I feel like the answer has to be an arm. If you're trading Cam Schlittler, you can't do that for a bat. You got to do it for an arm. You have to, because if you're trading one of your 5 starters, you've got to get an arm back to replace him. You don't want to be in a situation like a few years ago, you trade Jordan Montgomery away, and then you're throwing out Jamison Tyone in game 1 of the ALCS. You don't want that. Guys are going to get hurt in your rotation. I guarantee you right now, of the 13 pitchers in the pitching staff currently right now who are healthy, alive, active, etc., at least 2 of them are not going to be around on October 1st. That's how the sport works. And that's not counting the guys who are going to have to cut. It's not counting the guys that might get option. That's not counting the guys who might hit walls. And not even counting the guys you can't trust. You need pitching. This team needs pitching. And IKF makes your defense better, so those ground balls turn to outs. Because Alex, I never want to see a game like Game 5 in a playoff situation for the Yankees ever again. That was the most embarrassing thing I've ever witnessed on a baseball diamond. I never want to see it again.
Yeah, I mean, that's 100% true. Don't want to see that again. But I'll tell you what, the fact that this offense is as good as it is, with basically obsolete bat at the hot corner, IKF at least will make contact. Like, it'll be noticeably better, and that'll make the jobs of whoever's leading off, Jason, Paul Goldschmidt, whoever, better. So, it's kind of a crazy situation, but IKF makes this team better, and I didn't think I'd say that 2 years after we basically, exiled him off this team. So kind of a roundabout moment, but IKF going from the Pirates to then potentially, we'll see what happens this year, but if he does end up getting traded for, competing in the playoffs to potentially make it to a World Series, what a turn of events that would be. But I'll tell you what right now, Mitch Keller, IKF, if that's what ends up happening, there's a lot to like there. The team is better than it was yesterday. And honestly, that's all we can say we need right now, a better team than yesterday. However, it does not address the bullpen. And maybe Ryan, there's a bigger deal to be had here where you walk away with Keller, IKF, and David Bednar, and you give up like a Cam Schlittler plus in this situation. So we'll keep an eye on that for sure, but I'll give you one last second to kind of talk about, like, do you think that they should try to get Bednar as part of this deal, or do you think they'll look elsewhere for relief?
Dude, David Bednar is such a good fit. Like, he's just such a nice fit. 46% ground ball rate, 33.8% strikeout rate, 2.45 ERA, 97 mile per hour fastball. Is there anything I just detailed to you that you go, nah, I don't want that? 0.55 home runs per 9, closer experience, a year of control in 2026. So if you lose one of Weaver or Williams or both, you still have a closer. Is anything like he throws hard? He has a nasty splitter. He's got a wicked curveball. He strikes everybody out. He doesn't walk people. He doesn't allow home runs. Is there anything else I got to check off on the box? Year of control. Like, is there anything else? Is there anything else we want to reliever, Alex? Am I missing something? Maybe you want them to I don't know, yeah, I don't know. Nothing else. Yeah. It seems so stupid, but yeah, he's everything you want in a reliever. What else could you ask for? I know I'm like the detailed, go into deep analysis guy, but yeah, that's it.
Ball player, play good ball. That's about it.
Does everything you want. What else could you ask for? Strikeouts, no walks, no home runs. Cool, done. Sign me up. Done. Bring him in. Big
Pitcher,
fastball,
pitch.
done. Yeah.
That's how it goes, man. Pitcher, pitch, good pitch. So
Yeah.
I mean, that would be excellent if we could get a trio of upgrades there and at a nominal cost, I would say, and control, might I add. Is Bednar, is there control for him right now?
You have this year, and then you have next year.
Okay,
so
that's
it's
still
1.5 years.
At the very least, he replaces Devin Williams and at least helps you, offset some Luke Weaver loss. I mean, I would bring back Weaver and keep Bednar, and then you let Williams go. I don't really know how they're going to operate, but if you get Bednar, at least it covers you a little bit for your closer spot long term. He's
also going to cost less than Duran, and I love
Right.
Yohan Duran. He'd be sick. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to discount that, but that matters. Could you get? I'm going to throw this out here. Would you trade Spencer Jones for Mitch Keller and David Bednar? Just Spencer Jones.
Just Spencer Jones for David Bednar and Mitch Keller.
I know you're not a Keller guy, so I'm just curious. That's why.
Look, he's a mid-rotation arm, and if I'm thinking long term, when I was talking to Mitch Keller, I'm thinking about rest of season. But just based on value long term, you have so many arms at that point long term. I mean, you have Garrett Cole coming back next year. At some point during the second half, you get Clark Schmidt back conceivably. You have Luis Heel, you have Will Borne, you have Max Fried, you have Carlos Rodon. I think I'm missing. Marcus Stroman's gone. You have Cam Schlittler, assuming he's not traded in this instance. You have lots of arms, man. You got a lot of arms. And as we are learning, my friends, at this very moment, you need all those damn arms because injuries happen. You need to have 6 or 7 quality pieces, at least competent pieces. So, I definitely think that that's worthwhile. But, Bednar's 30 years old. You mentioned free agent in 2027, so you have another year of control. I mean, last year was an anomaly among a very long sample of dominance. The strikeouts are way up this year, career highs. He's kicking ass, to be quite frank. So, he's a pretty good insurance policy for Williams and Weaver. But would I give up Spencer Jones for David Bednar and Mitch Keller? It's a really, really good question. Really good question. I think yes, because of the control you get for those two guys. It's not a one and done for Keller. You would get I think his 2029, if I'm not mistaken, was this.
Keller is 3.5 years. So
3.5 years of a mid-rotation arm with cost control.
Below market value in terms
Below
of the
market value.
Good.
Plus a year and a half of an elite closer level David Bednar. So, I mean, for a guy who's never stepped foot, and I like Spencer Jones a lot. We talked about him in the episode this afternoon. But for two guys with control, and for a guy who's never stepped foot in a Major League Baseball game before, I think you would kind of be stupid not to pull the trigger on that. You know what I mean? I think that's an easy one because you're getting control and competency, if not elite closer. You know what I mean? So I think you kind of have to do that, right?
Yeah, and you know what? You could also float if you're oh man, but maybe not Jones. If you trade for Keller, you have to, for 3.5 years, and you don't want to trade Schlittler. Let's say maybe you go and say, do you guys want Warren? Warren for. You trade one of your young starters.
To be fair, I would trade Warren right now.
Right? I am a Will Warren guy, but if you're getting a controllable pitcher, because Kelly is different. You get 60 days, and you don't want to extend him. He's 37.
Right.
It's very different.
And Keller,
Right.
like you could argue, is like long term. I mean, right now he's better than Will Warren. Right now he's
Yeah,
better.
and
like
he's
you
also,
could argue
like,
he may always be better than Will Warren.
He's got what? No. Like, hold on. Warren's in his rookie year, so 5 more years. He's got 2 fewer years of control than Warren. So, like, you're like Carlos Legrand may be here. Cole should be back. You might sign another guy. You know, there are dudes in the farm that could come up, whether that's Ben Hess, Bryce Cunningham, Elmer Rodriguez Cruz, whatever those guys hold over. You know, the Yankees are going to draft another pitcher who's going to be a stud. Point is, like, that's kind of their pipeline, right? Yeah. Like, and I know the Pirates want bats probably, but maybe it's not in this deal. Maybe it's in a different deal, but it makes a Warren or a Schlittler more expendable if you trade for someone who you know is going to be healthy and here for a while.
But here's the thing.
That's what I'll end off on.
Yeah, and I'll finish with this because, like, now you got me thinking about Will Warren. I really like Will Warren. He could be amazing. We see flashes of it. Like, he puts together just excellent, striking batters out, in command. Sometimes he loses it towards the end or even at the beginning. The mid part's always good for him, though. It's always, he either flops in the beginning of a game or he flops at the end of his outing. But the middle part's generally pretty dominant. He just has trouble starting and finishing, which I guess is half the battle. But, you know, when I look at Will Warren, I see a pitcher that if he put it all together could be a frontline starter. You know what I mean? Like, if you put it all together, he could be frontline. You look at Cam Schlittler with that velocity, he could be frontline. You know what I mean? Those two guys, both of them. I guess I just don't know which one's going to be better. I think Will Warren's a little bit further along with his development. I think Schlittler just like rose up the ranks pretty quickly and just inserted himself into the conversation. But I need more sample to like really just figure out what his long-term outlook looks like. But I don't know. I think I'm okay trading one of those two guys because long-term you get Cole back next year. You have Luis Heel. You add a Mitch Keller. Like now you just have too many arms. Like I'm okay moving one of those guys. I just honestly don't know which one I'd move. So I guess that's a question for you guys in the comments too. If you had to trade Will Warren or Cam Schlittler in a package deal for, you know, Keller and IKF or David Bednar, which one would you move? So that's a question you guys can answer below. But I don't know. It's a tough one.
Yeah, and I think the final, you know, kind of sticking point here for me at least is like if you're the Yankees, you produce prospects that are pitchers. Like that's your thing. Now, is Warren kind of like a Clark Schmidt where the first year is getting knocked around and then, you know, after that he became a good starter. Unfortunately, that Tommy John is kind of the end of that story, it seems like, which sucks. But if Warren, you know, builds off that and becomes a good player, you know, you might regret that deal. But in the other regard, like if you like Mitch Keller, and again, this is very contingent on whether the Yankees believe there's something there with Mitch Keller. I believe, again, he has the second highest zone rate in baseball. Only Tariq Skubal throws more pitches in zone than Mitch Keller. You are not Tariq Skubal, for a lack of better terms. I don't think of Tariq Skubal when I think of Mitch Keller. So you shouldn't be throwing pitches or challenging guys as often as he does. If the Yankees believe there's something there, and I think there is, that is where the value is. That is where if you're the New York Yankees, you step up and you make that deal. If that's trading Will Warren, that's fine. If that's trading Spencer Jones, that's fine if you believe that value is there. When it comes to pitchers, I think I defer to the Yankee organization a lot. And I've liked Mitch Keller again for years. I think there's something to be had there. I really, truly do. And I think that starts with, again, being someone who tries to get more chases, isn't trying to just go after guys and challenge guys with below average or average stuff. And I think it also part of it is that insurance knowing he's a 30 start a year guy. He's 100 innings plus, 180 innings plus. And you get him for $16 million a year, I think, when you adjust for the luxury tax, or $17 million. Dude, in 2 years, people are going to be paying $17 million. People are already paying $50 million for Alex Cobb. Do you want to Google how many innings Alex Cobb has thrown this year and how many innings he threw the year prior when he got signed? I'm going to pull it up for you right here. He has thrown 0 innings this year. He threw 16 in 2024. And he made 2 playoff starts with a 7.94 ERA. And got $15 million at age 37. Do not tell me that's a lot of money for Mitch Keller. Frankie Montas got $17 million. Frankie Montas has sucked since I was in high school. That's the reality. That was our first year doing the podcast. The last time Frankie Montas was good, Alex and I were still cutting our teeth doing this. So, yeah. It's been a while. You got $17 million. 2 years. 34 million total.
I mean, too, we just gave what, $26 million a year for the last 2 years for Carlos Rodon, who was horrible.
How much money are we paying Marcus Stroman?
$17 million a year. For Marcus, it was, by
am
the
I
way,
crazy?
credit to him, he's been looking pretty good lately. But
He had a 3.95 ERA the year we signed him. And I didn't hate the deal at the time.
Yeah.
He was
well, to be fair, he was the only player left, and we were begging them to sign somebody else. I forget who it was, and then we missed out on him.
Snell?
It was Blake Snell. We begged and pleaded for Blake Snell, and then they decided to not sign him, and they went after Stroman instead. And then Blake Snell had like an insane year. Is he like healthy right now?
Oh, he hasn't pitched, and guess how much money he's making this year? I think it's $36 million.
He got hurt again.
He hasn't pitched
last year. Last year would have been great for us if we would have signed him on a 1-year deal.
I agree, but I'm just saying, like, look at the money that pitchers get, man. People, I think so many people are going to convince themselves that like paying $16 million for a back end starter is like unheard of.
Walker Buehler got.
He got $21 million because he threw like 2 starts in the World Series that were good. 1 start, a relief appearance.
He's garbage this year. Garbage.
And he was awful last year.
6.12 ERA. Negative WAR. Oh my God, he stinks.
Going rate for starting pitchers who are your number 4 or your number 5 with quote unquote upside is ballpark estimate $17 million, $18 million. This guy's been an above average pitcher for 4 years. 4 years straight. Healthier than Buehler, healthier than Montas, healthier than Snell, healthier than all those guys. I'm not saying he's a stud. I'm not saying the Yankees have to get him. I'm just saying the thing that doesn't work against him is his contract. The contract's going to make him more valuable. The party has more because of it. Because of it. And if it's just you, and you also have to think too, Alex, I'm sorry, I keep saying this is going to be my final note, but like this, I just thought of this. How many teams in baseball are going to take that contract because everyone's cheap as hell? It's you, the Mets, maybe the Cubs, and maybe another American League team. The Brewers aren't going to take him. They're cheap. The Rays aren't going to take them. He's cheap. They're cheap. The Red Sox aren't going to take him. They're cheap. I know they spent money on Bregman. I'm sorry. They don't spend the way the Yankees do. You think the Tigers are going to trade for him? They're cheap. They got to pay Skubal in 2 years. What was that, $400 million?
No shot.
They're not giving him $17 million. They're cheap. The Astros, they have shown that when they get to a certain threshold, and they're at that threshold, they don't want to spend more. Although I think they might be that mystery team. That's just a hunch. Giants, maybe the Dodgers, but the Dodgers have put so much money in the rotation. But my point is, like, you're competing with, like, the Mets. And the Mets have a good farm, but that might be it. Mm-hmm. Kelly, everyone's going to want Kelly because you don't have to pay him after this year. That's a big part of the selling point. Honestly, for cheaper teams.
The Mets could be the team that come out of the woodworks and do a Suarez and Merrill Kelly combo deal.
But you know what? I will also say, has David Stearns ever acted in a manner that makes you think trade multiple top 5 prospects in my organization for 2 rentals?
Do you think they have to trade top 5 prospects?
Yes, I think because Jonah Tong's very good. Carson Bench is very good.
Jonah Tong is insane.
Yes, insane. Jacob Raymer. They have dudes. Like, they have guys. Don't get me wrong. That's a good farm.
They do.
But my point is, like, I don't know if they view those guys as trade chips or, hey, this is the next generation of Mets players. Nimmo's in his 30s. Alonso's in his 30s. Lindor's in his 30s. McNeil's in his 30s. Viento sucks. Beatty is young, and, he's pretty solid. Alvarez might suck. Acuna might suck. Tyrone Taylor, 32. Rotation, Minaya, 33. Holmes, 32. Peterson, 29, turning 30. Senga, 30. Montas, 32. Senga's 32. Point is, they might look at these guys and go, there are replacements for all of the 30-year-olds I just mentioned. So for the Yankees, like, they're not in this stage where every good player on their team is 30. Judge is older, he's 33. Jazz is 28. 27. Jason's 22. Ben Rice 26. Volpe's 24. I don't consider him good, but Wells is 26 or turning 26. Grisham's 28. Bellinger just turned 30. The rotation, that's where you get a little bit older. Fried, Rodon, Stroman. But if you bring in Keller, he's 29. Cool. You reset your rotation. You might have Schlittler, Warren, Heel, Keller. All those guys should be good for the next 4 or 5 years. Again, all I'm trying to say is, like, your competition for this guy, it might be 2 teams. 2 teams, right. Maybe 3. because of the money. Take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Take advantage. You don't have the farm system the Red Sox do. You don't have the farm system the Cubs do. Take advantage of your big advantage. Money, finances. You're the freaking New York Yankees. You don't go $17 million for your starters a lot. You go, we paid it.
I don't think we ever have to hear that version of you.
We just paid $30 million to tell DJ LeMay to go, kick rocks. You know what I mean?
Basically.
We're paying Aaron Hicks $10 million to play somewhere else.
Dude,
Playing Guangdong with the Tigers,
Yeah.
That's my point. The Yankees pay money to, Marcus Stroman,
people.
and they were like, I don't know if he's going to start for us this year. You can pay $18 million to Mitch Keller to be your 3. Come on,
And to be fair, he might not even be our 3 next year.
He'd be our 4.
He'd be our 4, man. He could be our 5. To be honest with you, he could be after Luis Heel. He could be the worst starter in the rotation.
Could you imagine
Cole, Fried, Rodon, Heel, and Keller. And you throw Will Borne in. What if Will Borne takes a big step forward? Mitch Keller, buddy, you're.
What if you can trade one of Warren
now.
or Schlittler this deadline and go get someone who's very good? Maybe that third baseman we're thinking of is someone who's controllable and has years of control. We're not even thinking of them. You never know. Chris Biebick was listed by Jeff Passan.
I was waiting for you to drop something.
Just want to put that out there. He's a starter. Michael Garcia was mentioned.
How about George Lombard Jr.?
Well, my point is,
he's hitting home runs now, by the way.
Yeah, it's really, look, the Yankees farm system is better than usually the public perceives because the public,
hates the Yankees.
Yeah, it's the Yankees. They don't. I'm not saying
Lombard is actually you give him 2 years, this guy could be
I agree.
a legitimate superstar. Today, if he was promoted today, he would be a Gold Glove level infielder.
I think the defense is a selling point. He needs time though.
Oh no, he does. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. 2 years. I think after next year. I think next year he will be. I mean, he's in Double A right now. I think next year he will start Double A. He will play 50 games there. He'll get promoted to Triple A, and he will finish the season there. But I think
he'll be in Triple A before you know it. I think he'll be in Triple A.
But why isn't pitching better in Double A? Don't you want them to stay there in terms of development?
Yes, but also it depends on how he plays, but I think he could get there by the end of the year. I think they wanted to.
So you think that next year, so you think by next spring training, Lombard Jr. will be competing for a starting spot?
Yes.
I guess we don't have a third baseman next year because if you get IKF, he's a rental, and so is Suarez. So I guess yes.
There's none of the known, and I don't want Brian Hayes. Are we on agreement of that? I don't want.
No,
him.
Yeah, we are in agreement. I mean, the contract's annoying. Not to mention offensively, he's complete. We already have good defenders at third base.
Yeah,
why do we
Why
would we go that way?
Oswald Peraza is Brian Hayes basically. Not as good, but
he's
point is he's
yeah.
He his
Worse.
OPS is Yorbit Vivas' OPS. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Anywho. Yeah. So with that being said, Alex, this is your portion here.
Okay.
This is what you do. Yeah.
This is what I do. Well, we went way longer than we expected.
Said
Ryan
this was going to be shorter than this morning's episode. And I fucking lied. Sorry. I lied. I was wrong. My bad. Sorry, everybody.
Well, I guess I don't really feel bad about it because they just got better. They just get quality content for an extra 20 minutes. We meant to go for 20.
This came out an hour before. No, this came out 10 minutes, 20 minutes before we started recording. We were like, oh yeah, let's record on this.
I mean, the truth is you come for the Mitch Keller content, stay for the George Lombard rant. That's kind of if you want to learn about the farm system, you just wait till the last 20 minutes of every episode we talk about, and somehow we spin off into the depths of the Yankees minor league system and their prospects. Which if you're a Yankee fan and you actually care, and if you're a Yankee fan that cares about that stuff, I mean, this is the podcast for you, I'd say.
We'll see how this goes. I'm very interested to see how this deadline goes. We got 10 days. It's day one.
I wouldn't be surprised if something happens before then. However, let me just say, this series against Toronto is massive. Massive series. We need to take 2 or 3 games from Toronto right now. If we get buried by Toronto, we could be sitting at a 5-game situation where we're back in this division.
The division could be over. We could be out of the division race.
Yes. If I'm Aaron Judge right now, I'm going into that clubhouse saying, boys, get your straps up. We're kicking ass. We're dominating this series. And you got, who's on the mound today? Rodon?
I think it's, Rodon, Schlittler, Fried, in that order.
I mean, you got to win 2 of those games. Rodon starting today, you got to win. Schlittler tomorrow, if you get a win tomorrow, you're in good shape. And then you got Fried on was it Wednesday, and you're feeling real good about your
Got to take 2 out of 3. Rodon's got to do a job. Judge has to do a job. Everyone's got to do a job. It's time.
Yeah. And don't let George Springer kill you, please.
Yeah,
he
please don't throw a
us,
fastball
man.
right down the middle to George Springer.
Unless it's 100 miles an hour. In that case, like no one's gonna hit it.
Well, that's why a David Bednar would be nice, because you could just 100 miles an hour right through the bat.
Imagine Schlittler and Bednar relief would be crazy.
Yeah, you see, you can move starters relief. I'm very excited to see how this deadline plays out.
Yep. I mean, dude, imagine Schlittler in the playoff. I mean, I probably wouldn't want him pitching in the playoffs, but if you had him for an inning and just throw 100-mile-an-hour fastballs, just throw 10 of those.
For Warren and Schlittler, it's sack up time. Let's go earn playoff jobs.
That's where we're at right now.
Let's go earn playoff jobs.
Basically. Well, guys, hope you enjoyed this episode breaking down many different players as we continue to do. So if you have any names that you want us to go over, we will certainly do so. And Ryan will keep giving you guys the updates on the minor league prospects as they continue to develop. There's lots of news always coming out from there. And as we get closer to the deadline, as always, Ryan, the news and that analysis ends up becoming even more prevalent because now we know who's valuable, who's not valuable, who could be traded. Ryan's the guy. He's the insider for minor league prospects on this team. So, definitely a good podcast to learn more about them for certain. But as always, my friends, make sure to like and subscribe below, drop a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees podcast.
Perfect.